real close to Building 7 when it fell down, and running away from that, that's one of the things that I live with all the time. And I don't know, but that didn't sound like just a building falling down to me while I was running away from it. There's a lot of eyewitness testimony down there hearing explosions. I didn't see any reason for that building to fall down the way it did, and a lot of guys should be saying the same thing.
And why didn't the program investigate how its own organisation was reporting the collapse of WTC-7 over 20 minutes before it actually came down?
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center...
Still to this day, it has not been officially confirmed how the building came down. Yet the BBC and other news corporations were reporting on the causes of the collapse before it actually happened.
This was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks.
Head of news at BBC World, Richard Porter, stated that the original tapes had gone missing, but blamed this on cock-up, not conspiracy.
Were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we can rejoin her and follow that up later.
Why didn't the BBC attempt to examine why the 9/11 Commission failed to even mention the collapse of WTC-7?
Why is there not a word about the collapse of that building in the 9/11 Commission report?
We didn't see any evidence of the kind of thing you're talking about. We thought that was part of the tragedy of 9/11. The building collapsed later on. There was not a loss of life in that building, and it was not part of our report.
Not part of the report.
The commission reviewed the question of the Building 7 collapse. I don't know specifically if it's in the report. I can't recall that it is.
Right, I don't think it's in the report.
Okay, then I'll accept your word for that.
There was a decision not to put it in the report.
I do not recall that there was a specific discussion in the commission and we rejected the idea of putting Building 7 in. I don't recall that. So I presume the report was written without reference to Building 7 at all, because all of the attention, of course, was on the trade tower.
Not long into the flight, the hijackers overpowered the crew and turned the plane back towards the capital. Minutes later, a huge explosion rocked the Pentagon, killing all 64 people in the aircraft along with 125 military and civilians on the ground.
Throughout the Conspiracy Files programme, there was no attempt to understand how hijackers with limited training could have navigated the complex airliners hundreds of miles with such precision. The 9/11 Commission did not explain how Flight 77 could have performed a virtually impossible aerial manoeuvre, and the BBC failed to assess this discrepancy. Dozens of commercial and military pilots have gone on record disputing the official account. Air traffic controllers have commented on how Flight 77 appeared to manoeuvre more like a military plane. Why didn't the BBC interview any of these pilots or air traffic controllers.
A Boeing 757 is 155
After presenting the official story, the conspiracy files then switched to a clip from Loose Change, the popular internet documentary about 9/11.
Are we supposed to believe that it disappeared?
The programme only looked at one aspect of the argument put forward in Loose Change.
Why is there no damage from where the wings, or the vertical stabilizer, or the engines would have slammed in?
Harder evidence provided in the film does appear to refute the story of a Boeing 757 crashing into the Pentagon.
After this photo was published by American Free Press,
Yet throughout, the conspiracy files only selected pieces from Loose Change which were easy to cast doubt on, and the majority of the well-sourced information in the film was never mentioned. The finding of plane parts is not conclusive proof that Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon.
Identifiable parts of the fuselage and engines, and paintwork with the distinctive American airline.
But the programme did not question their legitimacy. There was no mention of the data based on radar readings that directly contradicts the official story. Witness statements are divided. Some refute the official account and others confirm it. Yet the programme did not address the differences in reporting or attempt to explain what lay behind the contradictions.
Maybe it was closer, maybe it was further away, but it was on that side. None of these light poles over here were knocked down. They were here. None of these were knocked down. They were here.
Official story says they were.
What official story? The only official story would have been the Arlington County police report done after the event. There's no official story other than that. That's the after-action report that was written by Arlington County, the fire department and police agencies that responded along with the United States Pentagon Police, at the time Defense Protective Service. That's the official story. Anything else isn't official. It did not come on this way. I've never seen anything that said it was on the south side of that gas station, ever.
Okay.
Slowed down, something can be seen entering on the far right of this frame just before the explosion. But this evidence is inconclusive. Frames from the second camera, analysed by computer animators, appear to show a plane and smoke in slightly more detail here. But again, it's not definitive.
As the BBC rightly asserted, the CCTV frames released by the authorities are not definitive proof that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. But that didn't stop the corporation from using an imaginative graphic to suggest it did. Why didn't the BBC show the 16 to 18 foot wide round hole which appeared at the back of the C-ring of the Pentagon? To get there, the wreckage would have had to penetrate 6 reinforced concrete walls. This feat is not explained by official sources, who stated that on impact, the entire Boeing 757 airliner probably disintegrated rapidly as it moved through the forest of columns on the first floor. The independent researcher, included by the BBC, whose study theorised that fire from burning jet fuel caused the structural damage, did not explain the anomalies in the damage either.
Their analysis suggests the jet fuel caused the worst damage.
No air crash investigation was ever made available, so there is no verifiable data to prove beyond doubt that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. But the BBC appeared to be convinced.